Now at 5, the Kansas Water Office does a meeting to discuss water issues in southeast Kansas. Plus, a local music teacher is surprised with a state award. And
the Justice Department is appointing a special counsel to oversee the probe into classified documents tied to President Biden. I'm Skyler Henry on Capitol Hill with a timeline of the discovery and how lawmakers are reacting.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
President Biden's attorneys say they found more classified material at his Wilmington, Delaware home. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Dow Quick. The news comes as the DOJ announced it's launching a special counsel investigation into the matter. Reporter Skyler Henry is on Capitol Hill, where House Republicans are launching investigations of their own, looking into the Department of Justice.
Attorney General Merrick Garland announced he's appointing former federal prosecutor Robert Hur as a special counsel to investigate how President Biden still had classified materials from his time as vice president.
The extraordinary circumstances here require the appointment of a special counsel for this matter. This appointment underscores for the public the department's commitment to both independence and accountability in particularly sensitive matters.
The first batch of classified documents were found at the former vice president's private office on November 2nd and turned over to the National Archives, who notified the DOJ 2 days later. More documents were found in the president's Wilmington, Delaware garage in December, and Biden's lawyers confirmed today that they found another document at his home.
I take classified documents and classified material seriously. I also said we're cooperating fully and completely with the Justice Department's review.
CBS News has learned some of the people who worked for Mr. Biden during his time as vice president have already been questioned by the DOJ. House Republicans say they want to know what kind of danger the documents pose to national security.
Clearly, he has mishandled these classified documents. There's issues of concerns of national security. I've requested a threat assessment from the Director of National Intelligence.
Other Republicans say the DOJ treated former President Trump much harsher, raiding his Mar-a-Lago home to find classified material that the National Archives repeatedly requested he return.
You watched them leak photos of sitting out files of President Trump. Where's the photos of President Biden's documents?
House Republicans have already launched an investigation looking into the Department of Justice and its handling of former President Trump's case. Skyler Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Former President Trump called on the DOJ to stop its investigation into his handling of classified material. He also announced the first rally of his 2024 presidential campaign will be held in South Carolina later this month. A couple of committees met today to discuss water issues affecting Kansas and the region. Officers from the 14 regions of Kansas gathered in Parsons to discuss issues such as harmful algae blooms, sedimentation, and aquatic nuisance species such as zebra mussels. Another topic was concerns about the dam in Coffeyville, Kansas.
That affects all of us that use fuel, and so that's how it spreads the impact to everyone. So if they're not able to pull enough water, or if the river flow is low enough that their intake pumps are not functioning properly, then they can become damaged. And then, everybody that uses fuel would be paying for those damages.
The committees also discussed the impact of the drought. That committee is going to meet again next quarter. Chloe Arroyo joins us now with a first look at the weather.
Yeah, so we've been seeing a lot of dry conditions, and thankfully it is on the mend, and we're slowly starting to see those conditions kind of cool or tame down just a little bit. Taking a closer look into our region, Kansas and Oklahoma aren't as lucky as Missouri and Arkansas are, because they're still seeing some exceptional to extreme risks for drought. But we had a little bit of relief earlier this morning. I'm sure you saw a couple of flurries here and there. That definitely tamed down the dry conditions that we are seeing. But coming up here in a bit, I'll have more information on those drought conditions, as well as our first system on Monday, followed by another system on Wednesday, and maybe some cooler temperatures later on in the week. I'll have all of that information coming up here in a bit.
Chloe, thanks. Southeast Kansas music teacher is being recognized with a state award. Alan Paxson has worked at Chetopa schools for 45 years, teaching music and directing the school's band and choir. Today, he was surprised with an award from the Kansas Music Educators Association, Outstanding Music Educator of the Year.
The thing that I would like for them to do is to have an appreciation of music and something that could be a lifelong endeavor for them, even if they don't participate in it, just that they have an appreciation for it.
Paxson also won this award in 2010. China is renewing its long-standing threat to attack Taiwan and warning the U.S. and its allies to mind their own business. Meanwhile, troops in Taiwan are busy showcasing their military strength with mock military missions. China claims Taiwan is part of its territory, even though the self-governing island separated from the mainland in 1949. Russia's space agency says it'll launch an urgent mission next month to replace a damaged Soyuz spacecraft docked at the International Space Station. Video shows the capsule is leaking, so officials say 3 crew members, including an American astronaut, need a new ride back to Earth. Still ahead, a new report shows inflation appears to be easing.
Consumer prices see a monthly drop for the first time since May 2020. I'm Nicole D'Antonio at the White House with the new government numbers and the impact on your wallet.
And next in Health Watch, what a new report from the American Cancer Society shows about cancer deaths over the past 30 years. Topping today's Health Watch, a new study in the journal BMJ might help put long COVID sufferers at ease. Researchers found most of the persistent symptoms that develop after a mild bout of the virus, including fatigue or shortness of breath, generally resolve within a year and don't lead to chronic long-term illness, especially for vaccinated patients. A study from researchers at the University of Vienna found listening to music helped people cope with stress during the COVID-19 lockdown. Music listening was also associated with improved mood, particularly for those with elevated chronic stress during the pandemic. The study included more than 700 adults in Italy and Austria who were prompted by a smartphone app to report their listening habits and stress levels while strict lockdown measures were in place. A new report shows that deaths from cancer have dropped dramatically in the last 3 decades. But cases of advanced stage prostate cancer and deaths are on the rise. Reporter Bradley Blackburn has more.
Jerry Jackson is a 69-year-old grandfather who says he owes the last decade of his life to a simple blood test.
If I hadn't had that, I probably wouldn't be here talking to you.
In 2013, after his PSA test came back elevated, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer and needed radiation therapy.
How are you doing today?
100%.
Prostate cancer is highly curable if detected early, but a new report from the American Cancer Society shows since 2011, cases of advanced stage prostate cancer have increased 4 to 5% every year. More men are dying from the disease, even as cancer deaths overall have dropped 33% over the last 3 decades.
More than 290,000 individuals will hear that they have prostate cancer this year.
CEO Dr. Karen Knudsen says confusion over cancer screening may be one reason cancers are being diagnosed later, after a shift in some guidelines years ago.
Would encourage individuals to have an informed decision with their physician about prostate cancer testing. But PSA is a blood test that can give an indication of whether someone may be developing or has developed prostate cancer, alongside a physical exam. This itself has no inherent harm to the individual.
The group recommends men talk to their doctors about their risk and start testing at age 50. But for some, testing may need to begin earlier. Black men have higher rates and are more likely to die from prostate cancer compared to white men.
It's been positive. Talking to, especially in the African American community, about different health issues. The one I know about is prostate cancer.
Conversations that can save lives. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Another finding in the report, there was a 65% reduction in cervical cancer rates in women in their early 20s, which comes in the wake of the introduction of the HPV vaccine, which protects against virus strains that cause cervical cancer. Scientists in China suggest a simple blood test may help pregnant women reduce their risk of serious complications. The screening was able to detect key changes in the gut bacteria of patients who experienced preeclampsia or gestational diabetes and could provide an early warning system for moms-to-be. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, the IRS announces the start and end of tax filing season this year.
We've got an eventful week ahead of us in terms of weather. I'll have the full forecast for you coming up here in a bit. Well, I sure do hope you guys are bundling up today, even into tonight, because it's going to be a cold one the next day or so. Let's take a look at our Indigo Sky Casino and Resort live in Seneca, Missouri. Right now, very cold outside. If you are out there right now, I do not envy you. Temperatures right now hanging around in the lower 30s across the board, and it's still in the afternoon to evening hours, so that's saying a lot. It's going to get a lot colder as we head into tonight. Pittsburgh sitting at 31, Joplin at 31 as well. Nevada down there hanging on to that 40-degree temperature, but it's not going to last long. Looking at Joplin right now, current conditions, we're a little bit breezy right now. We've got that wind coming from the northwest at about 15 miles per hour, once again below freezing, so I hope you're bundling up right now with that cold. We also have a lot of dry conditions right now. Let's take a look at our drought monitor. Across portions of our region, the majority of our viewing area is under some sort of drought risk, but as you head further west, you can see we'll be in those darker colors in that exceptional to even extreme range. Now, Missouri and Arkansas haven't seen nearly as much on the drier side, but we saw a little bit of relief this morning with those flurries. Now, the other thing to keep in mind right now is this wind. Now, when you have the wind and the drier conditions, that's when you do have a slight risk for some fire weather. Now, thankfully, we're a little too cold for that to be very prominent right now, but it's still something to keep in mind this evening. It'll be out of our way and will be a lot more calm. Now, in the next few days or so, we're going to see some precipitation pretty much every other day starting on Monday. Let's take a look at this setup. Sunday, we'll have some cloud coverage. We'll be a little warmer on Saturday and Sunday, reaching into the 60s. And then as we head into Monday morning, you're going to see some isolated showers here and there. That's going to become more widespread as it pushes further east. And then by the time we head into Monday evening, that's going to be out of our viewing area completely, not anything to worry about that evening and into Tuesday until we see this next chance for precipitation on Wednesday into Wednesday afternoon. That's going to be a little bit more widespread, a little chillier too, especially as you head further north. They'll see some chances for winter weather. Now, taking a look at our evening out tonight, will be very cold, so once again, you're going to want to bundle up. Temperatures are going to be in the upper 20s by the time we head to 10 and 11. Our low tonight is going to be about 23 degrees or so, and then we'll warm up into the 30s. But let's take a look at this 7-day. We're not going to warm up very much on Friday as our high is about 38, but we'll warm up quite a bit on Sunday into the 60s, pretty above average for this time of year. And then we'll see some precipitation on Monday, Wednesday, but we'll also have another storm system push through on Friday as well as Sunday.
Chloe Arroyo, you are a new face to a lot of our viewers. I know you've appeared on air here a little bit. You've been working behind the scenes with our weather staff. We're glad to have you here. We're looking forward to seeing more of you in the months ahead.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Chloe. Worldwide, 2022 was another hot year, not a record breaker, but close. And upper layer ocean temperatures are the highest on record. NASA and NOAA climate researchers who track the vital signs of planet Earth released their annual assessment of global temperatures today. They found temperatures signifying a long-term global warming trend tied to human activity. The analysis also found 2022 was a year marked by extreme weather events. A seemingly endless barrage of storms is wreaking havoc all across California. Thousands of people are still under evacuation orders in the northern part of that state, which has been hampered by days of heavy rain and powerful winds. So far, the storms dumped more than 2 feet of rain in some areas. Those storms have killed at least 18 people. Coming up, the latest inflation numbers from the government, but first we honor a local Civil War veteran. James Meter served in the Union Army from 1863 to 1865. Yes, the Civil War. His hometown, Parsons, Kansas. And we salute Private James Meter, a four-state hero. You can learn about lots of other heroes from all across this area. You can also submit a hero of your own anytime. It's very simple. You just go to our website, you know what that is, KOAMnewsnow.com. Topping today's Consumer Watch, inflation appears to be improving. A new report shows red-hot prices are actually cooling down, but many items still remain costly. Nicole D'Antonio is at the White House with a look inside the number.
Falling gas prices are helping to ease inflation. The Bureau of Labor Statistics says prices fell more than 9% in 1 month. Price hikes at the grocery store are slowing down but remain high, up nearly 12% in the past year. And some staples like eggs are skyrocketing. Their cost has increased almost 60%, and that's hurting the bottom line at bakeries like CC Sweets in McAllen, Texas.
I've kept my prices as low as I have for as long as I can, and if eggs continue to increase in price, we will eventually have to raise the prices to make sure that we can make a living.
But there are signs of improvement. Overall, prices for everything fell 0.1% between November and December.
The tiny decrease is a big development for the White House because it's the first such drop since May of 2020.
Today's inflation numbers are good news about our economy. We have more work to do, but we're on the right track.
The latest report is another sign the Federal Reserve strategy of raising interest rates to cool inflation is working, and the central bank plans to keep going.
And that means that all interest rates, whether you're going out and borrowing a loan for a mortgage or a car, or you're financing a credit card balance, those interest rates will remain high.
The Fed is expected to once again increase a benchmark rate during a meeting on February 1st. Nicole D'Antonio, CBS News, the White House.
On an annual basis, inflation rose 6.5% in December, which is an improvement from this summer when inflation hit 9%. The holiday season is behind us, and a decidedly less celebrated season is right around the corner. That would be tax season. The IRS has officially set January 23rd as the start of the 2023 tax season, the day the agency will begin accepting and processing 2022 returns. Now, normally the filing deadline is April 15th, but this year that's a Saturday, and the following Monday is Emancipation Day, which is a holiday. So this year the filing deadline is Tuesday, April 18th. The Federal Aviation Administration says a preliminary review has traced the source of yesterday's system outage to a damaged database file, and that they found no evidence of a cyber attack. The FAA's notice to air missions systems was down for multiple hours starting late Tuesday, forcing the cancellation or delay of more than 10,000 flights yesterday, according to FlightAware. The Department of Veterans Affairs has proposed a new rule to waive medical copay fees for Native American and Alaska Native veterans for any visits to a VA-authorized primary care provider. The VA says the intent of the policy is to encourage veterans to seek primary care treatment and give them better access to health care. The proposed rule is going through a 30-day public comment period before it can be finalized. A final check of the forecast next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, a look at the financial impact of an increasing number of young people returning to live at home. Then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to have more on the Kansas Water Association's meeting on local water issues. Plus, Missouri American Water announces upgrades to water systems in the Joplin area. And Galena High School's head football coach is stepping away after 16 years with that program. You'll stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. We're going to check back in with Chloe Arroyo for a final look at the weather.
Yeah, well, we've got quite a bit on the agenda in the next 10 days. We've got some cooler temperatures on Friday. We'll warm up into the 60s on Sunday and Monday. Then we're going to lead into some chances for precipitation on Monday. We'll have another storm system on Wednesday, even Friday, and maybe even Sunday. Will be pretty seasonal for this time of year, but aside from that, pretty normal.
Yeah, not bad. Highs in the 60s. Soon will be very welcome after the cold weather we're experiencing at the moment.
100%. Yes.
Chloe, thanks. And thank you for joining us. The CBS Evening News is next. And of course, we're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. We'll see you then. Let's make it a great evening.